Howdy everybody, it's Holland, and today I'm going to be bringing you an MTG Historic Deck Tech for Blue-White Control. We got some new cards from Amonkhet Remastered, so without further ado, let's just start talking about the deck. We've got main board 3 of Graph Digger's Cages. Graph Digger's Cages is good because it deals with probably about half the decks you're going to be seeing in the historic metagame right now. Croxes, Lurises, Uros, Dreadhorde Arcanist, all that stuff. This one card shuts it down. And it's kind of hard to deal with because it's an artifact, and not many decks have main board artifact tape. So it's just good to have main deck. Next, we're going to go to our 2-drop slots. We got 3 of Censor. Censor is a good early game counterspell. In late game, we can cycle it for a blue to draw a card. Other slot, we got a two Search for Forest Cantos. This card's great. It helps us with our top decks. And we can also refill our hand with non-creature spells, which all of our deck is non-creature spells. Save the lands. But if we end up having 2 of these out, one of them can be our land, and then one of them can just filter our top deck. So pretty good to have. So next one, we go into our 3-drop slots. Gideon, I think, is probably one of the most underrated cards we got through Amonkhet Remastered. His +1 prevents all damage to target permanent deal, which is pretty huge, especially when your opponent's playing like one or two like low creatures. This thing can deal with that easily. His first 0, he becomes a 4/4 with Indestructible, which can deal with opponent's planeswalkers, or late game we get to start taking our beats for our opponent, start beating our opponent up. And then his other 0 is an emblem with, as long as we control a Gideon planeswalker, we can't lose the game and your opponents can't win the game. So we can't lose based on going at our life total being less than 0. We can't lose because of Approach the Second Sons in the mirror match. So he's pretty dang good. So that's why I think he's a bit overlooked, and I think that he's definitely a great addition to this deck. The other 3-drop slot, we got our 3 Narsets. Great, because she automatically replaces herself if we can use her -2 right off the bat. She finds a non-creature, non-land card. All of our deck is non-creature, non-land cards besides our lands. And then also, if we're finished using her and they don't deal with her, she only lets our opponent draw 1 card per turn, which is huge, especially in the mirror match. So very good addition to here too. And then of course we got 4 Absorbs. Absorb's just a great counter spell. It gains us life as a hard counter. Nothing much to say about that. We've got our 4 drops. We got 4 of Cast Out. Cast Out's a good way to get rid of certain permanents we couldn't deal with. So we tapped out and played getting on our set. We can now cast out opponent's planeswalker or non-creature, non-land spell. So pretty good for that. And then also we get to cycle it late game if we don't need it, or if we just don't need it at all, we can cycle it. 4 of Wraths, get rid of those creatures. Good to have main deck. Of course, we got our 5-drop, the man himself. How can you be playing Blue-White Control with not having Teferi? Come on. 3 fairies banned, but Teferi here of Dominaria, all-star. Draws a card, untaps 2 lands, we can protect him. His -3, we get rid of a permanent. His emblem, we get to exile permanents whenever we draw a card, and we draw a lot of cards here, so pretty good. So it's like a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer card. You should always have this if you're playing Blue-White Control. Maybe not a 4 of all time, but still, he's just so good. Next, we go to our 6-drop, which is Shark Typhoon. Sometimes we might be able to play it as a 6-drop enchantment, but most of the time, we're going to be using this to make instant speed sharks with flying and to draw a card. So, what's better than making a 4/4 with flying at instant speed and getting a draw card? And it can't be countered. Keep that in mind. Then we got one of our other win cons, which is Approach the Second Sun, all-star card. We can cast this on one of our turns, and then we can be able to get this card back as soon as the next turn. With Narcissus, with Search for His Canas, with even our Scry land, we can get this pretty dang fast, and that's a really good win con right here. So I think this is another good addition from Amonkhet Remastered. And then of course we have our final 8-drop slot, Ugin. Ugin just can win you the game outright, like the turn you play him. Like you might not even have to like finish resolving his minus or his plus. He can just win you the game like that quick. So it's only just a 1 of 2 because it's 8 mana, and also we're not a ramp deck, so he's just good to have, especially late game. Perfect card. Lands are pretty self-explanatory. 3 Ardenvales to protect ourselves, 4 plains, 2 Vantresses to scry, 5 islands, 4 fortresses, 4 hollow fountains, and then 2 irrigated farmlands I like because we can be able to cycle them late game. Then we'll go to our sideboard. We've got 2 Rest in Pieces, which are good to get rid of our opponent's graveyard threats permanently. I don't like to have this main deck because it conflicts with Search for Azcanta, but still pretty good to have. Our next card, which I was pretty excited about when it got released in Zendikar, was Bounty Conundrum, which is Rampage. So whenever an opponent plays like their second, third, or fourth land, however many lands they play per turn, if it's not their first one, they have to bounce back a land they control back to their hand. So it's anti-ramp. So helps them play fair Magic, like everybody should be playing fair Magic, right? And also this thing just draws us a card too. And next we got our Dovan's Vetoes. Good against the mirror matchup, non-creature decks like Sultai, Control, Sultai midrange, that kind of stuff. Timely Reinforcements, great to have against aggro decks and burn. Mystical Disputes, good against blue decks. And then I like to have 2 Elspeth Conquers Death in the sideboard, because a lot of the decks we're playing against are mainly graveyard hate or graveyard stuff. So Elspeth won't hit the Lurrus decks because everything's CMC 2 or less, level permanents or at least. So this would just do nothing except for reanimate. So it doesn't feel that good. But yeah, so that's our deck right here for Blue Eye Control. Me playing this deck tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time over at twitch.tv/Hondaru. If you guys liked the video, thank you so much. Leave a like, follow, comment, subscribe. Anything that helps the channel out helps me. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys soon.